cholera?
Vibrio cholerae.
Yes, Vibrio cholerae. Very good. So that is the bacteria. The bacterial infection, that bacterial infection by Vibrio cholerae can also cause cholera. And in cholera also, we can see watery stools are released from our body. Along with water, salts are also removed from or released from our body. This bacterium can be sprayed through water and food. So one is it can be sprayed either by water and or by food. So this is why it is called waterborne disease, or it is also called foodborne disease. And you must know, so it is not spread by air generally. If it is generally spread by the water or food that has been contaminated with the feces of an infected person. So if that food or water is contaminated by the feces of any infected person, that that food and water is if it is used by you or used by us, then we can get also that infection. In places where people are forced to live in unhygienic conditions, that they don't wash their hands properly, they don't maintain that hygiene that we need to maintain to stay healthy. So in those areas, these types of cholera, diarrhea, these diseases can be seen. Such as in refugee camps, cholera can spread very rapidly. The worst cholera outbreak in recent times happened in Haiti in 2010, following a major earthquake that displaced thousands of people from their homes. At least 8,000 people were killed by that disease. So cholera can also be a very, very dangerous disease, and it spreads rapidly where people need to stay together, right? In refugee camps or in any kind of, suppose when people need to stay together in any kind of camps in those areas, so many people are staying together in those areas, cholera, if one or suppose 10 people are getting cholera, then it can be spread from them to others also very rapidly. The cholera bacterium lives and breeds in the small intestine. So it breeds mean it multiplies. Okay. So it lives and breeds in the small intestine. The bacteria produce a toxin. Toxin means a poison that stimulates the cells lining in the intestine to secrete chloride ions. These ions accumulate in the lumens of small intestines. You have seen the villi. So there, the toxins that are discharged by this bacteria, they accumulate. They increases. So what does it do? It will increase the concentration of the fluid present in the lumen, lowering its water potential. Once this water potential becomes lower than the water potential present in our blood, flowing through the vessels in the walls of intestine, water moves out of the blood and into the lumen of the intestine by osmosis. So you have learned what is osmosis. So what happens in osmosis? What happens? Who will tell me? Any one of you tell me.
High water potential will go to a lower water potential.
Moving in and moving out, you have learned it, right?
Yes, moving in and out of.
So tell me, or osmosis depends on the any two factors. You tell me any two factors on which osmosis depends. It is written in this paragraph. You read it, you will understand. Okay, tell me any one. Tell me any one control or any one factor that is clearly written in this paragraph. Read it and tell me. That is water potential, right? Water potential. So yes, the water molecules, the water will always enter from a higher potential to lower potential to make it equal, right? To make it equal. So when due to the effect, now come here, when due to the effect of the toxin discharged by the bacteria Vibrio cholerae in our intestine, what happens? The water potential becomes very low. And when the water potential becomes very low than the water potential present in our blood, so what happens? By the process of osmosis, the water comes out from the blood and enters the lumen. Is it clear to you?
What is lumen?
That is the part of the small intestine, the lining of the small intestine. You have learnt about it previously.
Lumen. Yes, lumen. And now I remember.
So suppose if this is the part of the small intestine, and you all know that blood vessels are there. Right? Blood vessels are there around the lumen. So what will happen if the water potential present here becomes low, and the water potential, blood is also made up of water, right?
They have become high.
The matrix part, yes, that is made up of water. So
Yes.
if the water potential inside the blood becomes high, it doesn't become high. The water potential in the lumen, it will become low due to the effect of the toxin that is released by Vibrio cholerae. Okay. So it will become low, and the water potential present in the veins, present in the blood, if it is high, then what will happen? From the blood, the water will come out to the lumen. Why? To make it equal, right? And what is the process by which it will come out? It will come out by the process of osmosis, right? So from the higher water potential, the water will come out to the lower water potential. That means from the blood, the water will enter the lumen. So this is why there is too much water right now, and water moves out of the blood and into the lumen of the intestine. It enters by the process of osmosis. This is why cholera is so dangerous. Large quantities of water are lost from the body in the watery feces, and this is why when the waste material, the feces, will be removed from our body, a large amount of water also gets removed from our body. And that water actually comes from where? It comes from the blood. From the blood, the water comes out and enters the lumen. And with the feces, with the waste material, that water is also lost from our body. So you can understand how dangerous is this, right?
Understood.
This is why cholera is so dangerous. Large quantities of water are lost from the body in the watery feces. However, so long as enough fluids can be given to replace these losses, almost every person suffering from cholera will eventually recover. So if we also provide that patient, provide that person who is suffering from cholera enough or sufficient amount of water, or ORS water, as you all know, so then how much water he is losing, the same amount of water or solution if we provide to him, that person will recover very quickly. But if treatment, we don't start the treatment in proper time, so what will happen? That person can even die. This is what happens in diarrhea and cholera. You can see here one picture is given. Cholera treatment in Haiti. When fluid losses are very great, then rehydration therapy can be given through a drip directly into the bloodstream that we call saline, right? You all know, you have seen?
Yes, saline.
You can see. So,
yes,
into the bloodstream rather than giving fluids or drink. So then when this cholera, in the cholera treatment in Haiti, you can see the conditions of the patients were so bad that if they would be given the drink or fluids to drink, then it would take much more time for them to get recovered. So this is why they were given those waters or saline waters intravenously. Okay, now the last part of this chapter is assimilation, right? So here it is shown, see what I was trying to tell you, that what happens in cholera you see the wall of alimentary canal. These are the walls of alimentary canal, and this is the lumen. It's the lining or the internal part of the small intestine. So this is the internal part surrounding which there are the lines or walls of alimentary canal. Okay, so the internal part of the small intestine or lumen is here. So the cholera, Vibrio cholerae or the cholera bacteria, actually it stays and grows in this part of the small intestine that is called lumen. Okay, here the toxin, it secretes the toxin or poison, and due to the activity of that toxin or poison, what happens? The water potential of that part of the food that is present here there becomes very low, whereas the water potential of the blood that flows through the blood vessels around that lining or around that lumen, that is very high. So what happens then? The water, to make it equal, the water from the blood directly enters the lumen, so that the water potential in the lumen can become, as it has become very low, the enter from the higher water potential, that is the blood that has the higher potential, from that the water will enter the lumen to make it equal, so by the process of osmosis. So, and that water will be discharged with the waste or the feces, right? So the water, you can see, at the same time we are losing the water, the salt from our body, and at the same time the water, from where we are losing it? From the blood we are losing it. So this is why the body becomes too much weak, due to the loss of that much of water. Now the final part is assimilation. After they have been absorbed into the blood, the nutrients are taken to the liver in the hepatic portal vein. The liver processes some of them before they go any further. Some of these nutrients can be broken down, some converted into other substances. Some are stored, and what remains left, some of them remain unchanged. The nutrients dissolved in the blood plasma are then taken to other parts of the body, where they may become assimilated as part of a cell. So the nutrients that are absorbed, where they are taken first? They are taken to the liver. Okay, now in the liver, the first processing of them happens in the liver. Some of them are used, some of them are stored for future, right? We don't use all the nutrients that we get. We use some of them. How much we need, we will use them, and how much we don't need right now, we will store them for future use. The liver has an especially important role in the metabolism of glucose. If there is more glucose than necessary in the blood, the liver will convert them into a polysaccharide called glycogen. You have learned it in the chapter of chemicals or compounds, and store it. You can find out more about it in page number 184, that chapter I'm talking about. So what does liver do? You have in this chapter, you have learned that in case of digestion, liver secretes a fluid or digestive juice. What is the name of the digestive juice?
Villi.
No.
Bile.
Bile. Yes. So bile is secreted in liver, and where it is stored?
Pancreas.
It is stored in, no, not in pancreas. Not in pancreas.
Gallbladder.
Gallbladder, yes, very good. So it is stored in gallbladder, and then when needed from the gallbladder, it is discharged, and through the bile duct, it comes to pancreas, and there it mixes with the pancreatic juice in the pancreatic duct, and then it is released to the duodenum, right? For what?
Yes.
To break down, and it helps to break down the fats and oils. Okay. Now here,
Yes.
after digestion also, when the nutrients are absorbed, after that also the liver has a very, very important role. So now what we will do with those nutrients that we have absorbed, that process is called assimilation. Okay, some of them are used, some of them are stored. Now what liver does? the glucose that we need, the how much energy we will need, that much of glucose we will break down and we will get the energy from it. But some glucose always remains extra in our body. And you all know that in the form of glucose, it cannot be stored. Why in the form of glucose it cannot be stored in the living organism? Glucose cannot be stored. Why? We need to convert it. Why?
Yes, converted, yes.
Because
Because it
glucose,
is insoluble and it is very reactive.
Reactive.
yes, glucose is the very good. Glucose is the simplest form of carbohydrate. So it is very reactive. Whenever it will find another compound, it will go and join
This
it
soluble
or it will react with it. So we in plants also you have seen that, and in case of in our body also the same thing happens. So we cannot store it in the form of glucose. We must convert it into a polysaccharide. In case of plants convert it into polysaccharide called starch to store it for future use. And we convert it into a polysaccharide called glycogen, right? And store it inside in our body for future use, so that in future, whenever we will need instant energy, the liver will again convert that glycogen into glucose, break it down and get the energy instantly. So this is called assimilation, and this is done by the liver. Okay, so this chapter is complete, right?
Yes.
Digestion. Okay, before starting today, we will not start the exercise. Let's see something. I told you that when we will complete this chapter, I will show you a very short video on that.
Yes, digestive system.
Yes, ma'am.
On the process of digestion. Okay, let's see that first.
Everyone.
Can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay, let's see this one. So in this first picture, what you can see, what is this process? What is this process called?
Ingestion.
Ingestion, right? Ingestion, because this person is eating the food, he is eating the piece of the bread. Okay, so this is the first process. This is called ingestion. Okay, let's see. So ingestion is done through the mouth. So inside the mouth, what happens? We break down the food into small particles. At the same time, you can see in this process is done by our teeth. Different types of teeth are there. You have learned about that. So the food is broken down into small pieces. The saliva, you can see the action of saliva. The saliva are secreted from the salivary gland. You can see it's coming out. What it will do, it will make the food soft. And the amylase present in the saliva, these are the salivary glands, okay, from which the saliva will come out. It converts the starch in the food into sugars, also softens the food. Now what amylase present in the saliva, that converts the starch into simple form. And what does the tongue do? It pushes the food towards the esophagus or towards our food pipe. Tongue helps in this first process of digestion, and at the same time it pushes it towards the food pipe or esophagus. Now let's see what happens next. Esophagus. What happens in esophagus? See how the food directly goes inside the esophagus.
That is epiglottis.
Which one is epiglottis?
This one.
This part,
This
right? Just
Yeah.
this part, right?
Yes, yes.
That is the epiglottis. And you can see, I have told you that the food pipe and about the food pipe and the windpipe. So this one is the wind. This one is the windpipe. Yes, and this one is the food pipe. So the
Maybe
food
it's
should
blocked.
never enter this part. Okay, if it enters this part, then what happens? What we know as choking, right? That means the
Yes.
food will block the way of the wind, and we can even die for that. So this is why this small part always blocks the wind. So this is why when you drink water or eat something, for that time period, you can't breathe together, so that it blocks that way, so that the food do not enter the windpipe. So now the food will move through the esophagus or the food pipe. Let's see what happens then. So it will move to the downward direction. What is this movement called? Tell me. Peristalsis.
Peristalsis, yes.
Now the food enters the stomach, and you can see in yellow color HCl is secreted.
HCl.
The stomach, there is HCl, there is mucus. Mucus is secreted by the goblet cells.
Pepsin.
And there is also pepsin. Yes. That HCl kills all the bacteria present in the harmful bacteria present in the food. And the pepsin breaks down the protein molecules.
Into
And the
polypeptide.
mucus makes it more soft, so that it can slide to the
Yes,
next
he's
part.
seated in goblet cell.
Okay, now it will enter to
bile
the
will come.
duodenum, small intestine or duodenum. So this is how it looks. So now the food will enter the duodenum or small intestine. You can see these are the digestive juices that are getting mixed with the in the duodenum. So one is the
Pancreas.
bile.
Pancreatic juice.
That one is the bile that directly comes from the liver. Okay, so and it flows through the bile duct. So what is the bile duct here? The bile duct is this one, right? This one. And this part is the gallbladder, right? You can see here. So the bile or the digestive juice from the liver, it comes all this way, and it gets stored in this part that is called the gallbladder. When needed, it will be discharged from the gallbladder. It will flow through the bile duct and it will enter. So you can see here, this one is the pancreas. One is the pancreas. So from the gallbladder, the bile will come through the bile duct and it will join the pancreatic juice that is secreted by the pancreas, and both of them will be then released to the duodenum. So what is the main function of this juice? Because this juice neutralizes this juice contains many enzymes, but at the same time it neutralizes the food. As the food that comes from the stomach, it contains HCl, so it neutralizes that HCl, and then the food is released to the duodenum, so that the enzymes present in duodenum, they do not get affected by the acidic condition or acidic food that comes from the stomach. Now let's see what happens here. You can see how the digestive juice gets mixed with the food in the duodenum. Now liver has its separate function in digestion. See what happens in liver. See, this is the bile duct. And then pancreas. How it is connected by the bile duct. So pancreas is connected to the bile duct and at the same time to the duodenum. From the bile duct, the bile will come, enter the it will get mixed with the pancreatic juice, and together they will be discharged into the duodenum. Yes. Now let's see what happens in the small intestine. When the food will enter the small intestine, then it will move through the food consumed is digested and is now ready to be absorbed in the blood. Absorption occurs in the small intestine. Absorption means the nutrients are absorbed by the blood. You can see how these are the villi. or villi, you can say. This is how they look.
And
You have also seen in the
projection.
picture. Yes, the projections. They will absorb the nutrients. Inside them, you can see these are the blood capillaries. Okay, the blue ones and the red ones are veins and arteries that carry the blood. So the nutrients will enter the blood. Okay, these are the red blood cells. You can see like red dishes. So they will flow with the blood inside the blood vessel, the nutrients. Okay, you can see the nutrients like small stones. The undigested and
whitish
unabsorbed
stone.
food, what will happen to them? They will enter the large intestine. Okay, see why it is yellow in color. Can anyone tell me?
Yes, because the presence of bile is yellowish fluid and which is not digested.
Yes, because that yellow color comes from the bile. The bile is of yellow color. So now
Yes,
it will
during
go and it will be stored in which part? Tell me, what is the name of this part? Rectum.
rectum.
And after that, through anus, it will be removed from our body. Okay. So it will be stored in the rectum, and after some time, it will be removed from our body through the anus. Now, this whole process, did you understand it? Any problem there? You can tell me.
Oh, ma'am.
This is the
No, ma'am,
whole
no
process of digestion. From ingestion, then digestion, then absorption, and then ultimately egestion. Ingestion, digestion, absorption, and egestion. Okay, complete.
Yes, sir.
So next day we will start the exercise. Okay, so, all of you keep your copies with you. We will write the answers. Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
ma'am.
so that's it for today.